Let me start, Tiffany. I'm Peter Scott. I'm a doctor that for his whole career actually took care of children with cystic fibrosis. I'm a pediatric pulmonary doctor, and I'm retired now, but from the very beginning, I took care of kids with cystic fibrosis. And just flash forward 30 or so years when I was training for a marathon. It wasn't my first marathon, and I'd been running for, 20 or 30 years before that, some long periods off. But, being a marathoner and taking care of kids with cystic fibrosis, it doesn't take long before you realize that there's a real parallel there, and that living with CF is really a marathon existence. And I think everybody in the community knows that, whether you're living with cystic fibrosis or taking care of someone with cystic fibrosis. And that was very real to me. And I had that kind of in the back of my mind when in 2006, in the fall of 2006, we heard that there was a new marathon coming to town. We live in Atlanta, and we work out of Atlanta, our organization. So I thought, well, this is a perfect time to put the two things together, my life with CF and my life with running. And so very organically, we just put together a team. Shockingly, we ended up with a little over 100 runners running both a marathon and a half marathon. That was also part of that event in March of 2007. So that was the inaugural race. We were proud to have a team running and representing cystic fibrosis, raising a little bit of money for cystic fibrosis, and having really a great day. And we really didn't know if it was just going to be a one-hit wonder or not. As it happens, it wasn't. And we had enough people that got really encouraged by the whole process and wanted to continue with it. So with help, a lot of help actually from some of our friends in the CF community, we continued to field a team at that race in March every year. And it just kind of grew and grew. And it doesn't look now like it looked then. Back then it was very, very volunteer oriented. It still is, but it basically we felt good about getting out on the race course and running our best race and doing it to honor our patients in my case, and the people at our care center were very much involved, and families were there. And we were just proud to represent CF in this actually large race event in Atlanta, Georgia. So that's how we got our start, and we've continued operations ever since then. Again, it looks quite a bit different now. We had at the beginning started raising funds for the Cystic Fibrosis Foundation, and that changed a few years back. And nothing about our relationship with the CF Foundation, which is very good, but we thought there might be something more we could do. So with that, Becky, do you want to talk about our Breathe Strong initiative and how we got into our causes? Unmute, please, Becky. Becky, you sound like you're muted, but.
Oh, now is that better?
Much better.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you for letting me know that. When we first started out, we raised money for the CF Foundation and for another local nonprofit called the Reaching Out Foundation that was also Atlanta-based, that helped families with emergency financial assistance. So we kind of always had it in our DNA to help CF families one way or another, whether it was through the CF Foundation or through the Reaching Out Foundation. So in 2016, we decided we didn't want to just be a pass-through organization anymore, raising money for other people, And we had learned enough and been part of the CF community enough that we wanted to start our own program. So we started a very, very small pilot called Breathe Strong that was intended to pay exercise grants for people with CF. Now, I don't know if you guys have any idea where we might have thought, how we might have thought of paying for exercise for people with CF. I mean, I don't know anybody else who's doing that, but truly, after seeing what the CF Lifestyle Foundation was doing, we thought it was a great idea. We knew also that you guys weren't able to cover everybody who applied for you, and thought that there was plenty of space for other organizations to get involved with a very important mission of helping people afford to have healthy, active lifestyles and to participate in the physical activities of their choice. So we started our Breathe Strong program, piloted it very slowly in 16, 17, really took off in 2018 and is going strong now. We've paid grants to more than 250 people. And we do encourage people to reapply every year. So one of the big things is that we want people to have an ongoing healthy lifestyle, not just a one and done, do an activity and I'm through with it, but to stay active and to keep doing that exercise that makes such a huge difference in people's well-being. Talking with the Lifestyle Foundation, I know I'm preaching to the choir there about exercise and the value of it, but it is something Peter saw in his patients. Recognized the difference that exercise could make as a treatment modality. I saw it. I have a son who is now 33 with CF, who did run with Team 65 Roses early on. He got involved with Miles-4-CF before I did, running and raising money for Team 65 Roses. And I kind of followed his interest and fell in love with the organization and got more and more involved with it myself. But I could see in him that when he was well enough to run and was active and running a lot, his health just cycled up, got better, better, better. When he wasn't able to exercise, then it was just the opposite. It cycled down and he'd get less healthy and then less able to exercise and less healthy. So we wanted to do everything we could to make it easier for people with CF to be able to access the kind of exercise that they want to do that, that appeals to whatever interest they have, to make them get active and stay active. Our Breathe Strong program is, we have an online application, so it's very easy to apply for. It's all done electronically. There's a link on our website, and I believe Tiffany, you're sharing those, our website links in chat for to be recorded, but on our Breathe Strong website, there's an application done through Google Apps. It's very easy. We ask people to submit a picture, tell us what it is that they want. Our average size grants are around $500, but we do pay up to $1,000 for activities or for equipment, if that's what it makes sense for us to pay. So $1,000 is our absolute limit. People tend to ask for things that average around $500. And we made a particular switch during COVID, which affected all of us in our ability to be active and our ability to do the things we've been doing, the gym memberships and cheer and sports teams and such that we were paying for weren't really available to people. So with our Breathe Strong program, we started with paying for home equipment. So we did a lot of trampolines for kids and treadmills and exercise bikes and those kinds of things. And we also started a program, kind of went back to our roots of helping people with emergency financial assistance with our critical needs program. Peter, do you want to just mention that to people and talk a little bit about the kinds of things we paid for?
Sure. It's, I guess in March of 2020, when the pandemic started doing its thing here in the country, we realized pretty quickly that exercise was one thing, but other things like keeping the lights on, keeping the heat on, eating, certain basic functions are pretty important compared to a gym membership. So we pivoted very quickly, I have to say, to accepting grants from families, from people with cystic fibrosis, if they had needs that they suddenly were not able to meet. The thing that we saw most often was a parent who could no longer work because of the pandemic, or a child who was out of school because school wasn't in session because of the virus. And so, income was sometimes cut in half and sometimes even more than that. And we just felt like we could redirect funds that we had normally in a normal year spent for exercise support to really helping with what truly are critical needs. There's a lot of food insecurity out there, even in the best of times, but especially when COVID hit, it was really a significant issue, as everybody here knows. I mean, we could see it. We had friends with or without CF that were affected by this sort of thing. Children in school that couldn't go to school or were in school virtually, had to be looked after in the home, and just was, well, this is common knowledge now, but we took it to heart with our families that we were supporting, and sure enough, we got grants pretty much from the start, saying, can you help with utility bills? Can you help with food? It was, it was our honor to be able to continue to support our families in such a difficult time. So we did that. I was really proud of our group because, and Becky and others made it happen, but it was just really a very quick change of gears. We're going to be supporting people with needs other than exercise for now. So we did that, and now we are transitioning back to receiving exercise grants and supporting gym memberships and supporting equipment and whatever a child or an adult may need. We're happy to be able to support them. So it's sort of like we're back, and we're looking forward, hopefully, to far less trouble with the virus and much more trouble with just getting on with life, and that includes exercise, and that's where we can help.
Thank you. Thanks, Peter. Right now, we've had to really cut back on our critical needs program. We were able to get a lot of funding for that pretty easily in 2020. We spent over $85,000 on critical needs assistance for CF families, mainly in the form of grocery gift cards or paying their utility bills. But we are starting to bring that back. This year, we've had some specific fundraising around critical needs in Georgia. So while we were able to open up nationally during the pandemic, especially in 2020, early 21, we opened up to referrals from the CF Foundation's Compass program, from other organizations like you guys, CFLF. Now we're just working with the social workers at Georgia CF care centers. And if so, anyone out there who's from Georgia who is struggling, then contact your social worker at your care center, and we may be able to help, particularly for people who are going to the Augusta Center in South Georgia. That's where a lot of our fundraising has been specifically targeted. We still have a 65 Roses team there who has been fundraising specifically for the purpose of being able to give some financial assistance to the local community. So Georgia folks, go to your social worker. For Breathe Strong, our program is for the Southeast. So while we expanded that nationally during the pandemic too, we've cut back to primarily doing the Southeast. We've kind of stretched the Southeast to go as far as Texas and as far north as Virginia. So it's not just Georgia, but for anyone in that area, we are open to accepting your applications and looking forward to helping to with whatever helps you stay active. A lot more people are going back to gyms and going back, especially kids are going back to their classes. The breakdown of our grants is more, although we're open to kids and adults, probably about 75% of our applicants have been kids under 18 and 25% for adults. But we don't, that's not intentional. We're certainly open to adults as well as kids. It's just, we seem to get more referrals. Again, a lot of the social workers in clinics around the Southeast know about our program, and the pediatric folks tend to be more involved. And it may just be that the parents are more aggressive in pursuing stuff for their kids than adults are in pursuing things for themselves. But we're open and happy to support CF adults as well as kids with CF. One way that we're able to do this, is through our events, and our signature fundraising event is the Big Peach Sizzler 10K and 5K that's on Labor Day. That's coming up. That's a race in Atlanta that normally in good times attracts between 2,500 and 3,000 people. But obviously, there's been some changes with COVID. We're looking forward this year to something more like what we've had in the past. Last year, we did have a live race that was less than half of what we normally have, but we were happy to be able to get out there and do it. A lot of virtual activity too. We do have a virtual option as well as the in-person option. People with CF through our Breathe Strong program can apply to run free. We can cover that. So that's something for people who like to do a virtual or an in-person race. Love to have you join us. People can fundraise around the race, but you don't have to. We just like to get more people from the CF community involved in participating. So even though it's a race in Atlanta that attracts serious runners and walkers and people who don't really care that it's for CF, they just like the fact that it's a good race, we still take that opportunity to make sure that we use it to raise awareness, that we keep in mind what our mission is, what we're doing. The set that I have behind me is made from bibs in the 2000, actually these came from the 2019 race, but we give people the opportunity when they run to get an additional bib that's an honor bib. So they can write the name of the person or people that they're running for, wear that when they run, and then turn it back into us at the finish, and we'll put them all on display at the finish line area. We were very lucky this past year to get someone who turned the bibs into a quilt for us that we can use as a more permanent display. But behind me, the names that you see are all names, people with CF who had somebody who chose to honor them when they ran in our race. It makes it very meaningful. It brings a lot of attention to our area at the race finish line, where people like to come and have their picture made with their bib and showing who that they run for. So on race morning, our quilt is just a bunch of bibs pinned together with safety pins and hanging on a display pole. But we're hoping to be able to have enough each year that we can maybe have every year have an honor bib quilt honoring more permanently the people with CF who have somebody who wants to run for them or for themselves.
I guess you might call them seamstresses, but their mission is, in fact, their organization is called quilt on your back. I'm sorry. Yeah, quilts on your back, I think, right, Becky?
Shirt on your back.
Shirt on your back. So
Shirt on your back.
yeah, I'm sorry. That's right. They will take shirts, race shirts, for example, with or without bibs, and create a quilt of shirts. And they do a really nice job. And we asked them to do this special project for us, putting together these bibs. Anyway, that was really kind of cool a couple of years ago. I just like the stories that come out of this project of ours. It's just been amazing I've been kind of selfish about it because it really has allowed me to keep in touch with the CF community because as I said, I'm retired. So, some of them are my favorite people. So I'm really happy to be able to stay in touch with them. I remember, and some of the stories come around race time when I think it was our first year when we were running a marathon, one of those marathons in March, maybe the very first one. And a friend of mine who actually is a co-founder of the organization, because he's another cystic fibrosis doctor. He was one of my partners in business and in our practice, and he also was a marathoner. So we were training together, and actually he was kind to slow his pace so he could run with me. And during the actual race itself, and we had this young man come up behind us, and he asked us what we had on our race t-shirts, our Miles for Cystic Fibrosis shirts, and he asked us what this was all about, and we told him that it was an organization that we support, and it's about helping people with cystic fibrosis. And it was a little odd hearing that question because most people don't know about cystic fibrosis. So I asked him why he asked, and he said, well, I have cystic fibrosis. And here he is halfway through running a marathon, running with CF. And actually just a couple of minutes later, he said he needed to pick up his pace a little bit. So he took off from us older guys, but just so inspiring. And so anyway, those are some of the things that I love about staying involved with Miles for Cystic Fibrosis. The people you meet, the stories that are generated. Every year we try to honor someone with cystic fibrosis and present an award. We call it the Inspire Award. And it's a crystal award and with an inscription, and we're proud to do that. Of course, everybody needs an award who lives with cystic fibrosis, but this is somebody who's been involved with our organization and actually usually in fact now run in our one of our races. So so that's always a fun thing to do. And then less commonly, since 2 or 3 years ago, we've started an award for people who don't have cystic fibrosis, but who are attached somehow, a care provider, somebody at the foundation. We've only presented 2 awards. One was to a nurse practitioner that I worked with for 20 years. And she has retired now from the care center. She was the clinic coordinator. So her whole heart and all of her work was devoted to taking care of the families in our center. And then a good friend and a CF dad who actually until recently was the head of the director of the CF Foundation office in Atlanta, the Georgia chapter of the CF Foundation. Scott Rittenbaum, we honored him with the 2nd Impact Award. So we continue to be on the lookout for people who might be appropriately awarded something for their basically a lifetime effort helping people with CF.
Before we go, I also want to tell you about our most recent event. We're kind of getting back to our marathoning roots or half marathon roots, and we have a half marathon in June 12th, the Hotlanta Half Marathon Relay and 5K. that has chosen us as charity partner. So we are working with them on this race, fundraising around it, getting sponsors for it, participating, again, benefiting as the charity partner, and helping to do our part to put on the race. So love to have anyone who is a marathoner or a half marathoner, or who would like to do a relay, which is a 2-person relay, letting each person do just a little over 6 miles, or a 5K, participate with us on that. We're offering, again, free entry for that with people who would like to fundraise, or people who are interested in making it part of a Breathe Strong grant. We do get a number of people who ask for us to pay for entry for races and some running shoes to go along with it. So that's kind of a niche. We're not taking away from Emily Schaller and her Kicks Back program, but we have thrown in a lot of running shoes with people who tie it into running or some other event that they need to have shoes to participate in. So we're very excited about how that one's going to go, and hope that we'll have a good bit of CF community involvement in that one too. So we will post those on our social media. We are based in Atlanta, and we do look right now, even though we meet virtually, we still are pretty local. So any Atlanta folks who are interested in getting involved with us, either as a volunteer or possibly as a staff person, then we'd love to hear from you.
That's awesome. Great to know, because a lot of people out there looking for, a career opportunity. So it's good to know when there are opportunities out there. So thank you so much for sharing your organization with us, and we appreciate you guys coming out, and we hope to see more from you guys. And yes, if you are interested in anything that you heard today, please do check out those links. And thank you so much for joining us today.